Hello super friends and welcome to DC TV Talk. This is the show where we talk all things Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and Black Lightning. And in today's video we're going to be discussing who is going to be taking up the mantle of the Green Arrow come Arrow Season 7. So let's discuss. So of course in Season 6 it ended with Oliver being arrested and being sent to prison, meaning that the Green Arrow is no longer operating within Star City. However, a big thing that happened in Season 6 was that Diggle actually became the Green Arrow for a little while, had that taken away from him after he was injured, and he never received that mantle back. And this led to the big conflict between Oliver and Diggle. This was all resolved in the season finale when we see Oliver actually have another suit made, another Green Arrow suit made, and he gives it to Diggle. And while Diggle actually refuses it at first, he seems to be a lot more accepting to the idea after Oliver is arrested by the FBI. When Oliver is doing his big, revealing, profound speech to the public of Star City, there is a shot where it goes to Diggle inside of Argus and he simply looks at the suit he was given and closes the case. And this suggests to me that perhaps now that Oliver is away in prison, Diggle is going to take up the mantle of the Green Arrow while Oliver is gone to protect Star City from the criminals and just to keep it under wraps basically until Oliver is able to come back. Now, how long will Diggle actually be the Green Arrow? Well, this actually, of course, all depends on how long Oliver is going to be in prison. Now, I think it'd be really interesting, and I prefer them to do this if they kept Oliver in prison up until the mid-season finale. I think this would be a ballsy choice. I don't think they'll do it, but I think it'd be awesome if they actually had Oliver in the prison up until the mid-season finale, and the mid-season finale cliffhanger is perhaps something that causes him to perhaps break out. And I think that'd be an awesome way to kick off kind of the mid-season premiere as well. And also this would be very interesting for the crossover, because if the crossover is episode 8, which it normally is, then that means that Oliver won't actually be a part of it, and that means that the Green Arrow for the crossover would actually be Diggle, which would be a very interesting choice, and would put Diggle in the forefront of the crossover, which he never normally is. And seeing that Arrow is going to have quite a big influence on the crossover this year, that would be a very interesting choice to go for. However, going off what Stephen Amell has said, it seems like he is very much involved in the crossover, which tells me, of course, that he will not be in prison at that point, and he will be breaking out pretty early on, or at least will get out early on. We don't actually know what the story is there. That's what's been really difficult about actually making Season 7 kind of theory videos, is that we don't know anything about it. The only sort of concrete news that we know is that Roy Harper is coming back as a series regular. Roy is returning. So that's the only thing we really know about Arrow Season 7 that's like actual concrete news. So it's very difficult to kind of speculate about Arrow Season 7 in terms of where it's going to go, how is it going to play out. It's very difficult. We have to kind of progress and actually process all these different ideas and try to make sense of at least a little part of it. Now, of course, Oliver will be in prison at least in the first episode of the season, and this is one thing that you'll need to expect, is that Diggle will probably be the Green Arrow at least for maybe 2 to 3 episodes, maybe, and I think that we'll definitely see Diggle in that suit for sure. Now, one thing that's difficult to know is, if Oliver does break out and go on the run, like a lot of us think might happen, if he goes on the run with Roy, for example, then that means that Oliver is going to get a different suit, surely, because he doesn't actually need the suit, because obviously everyone knows who he is. So this could mean that he doesn't need that suit anymore, and Diggle will take up the suit that he was given, and he'll become the new Green Arrow, and Oliver will become someone else, something else. And that will be kind of how that plays out, because obviously if Oliver goes on the run, he's going to be an instant fugitive, so he can't come back to Star City and be the Green Arrow because everyone knows who he is. I mean, he can't necessarily come back and be the Green Arrow anyway because everyone knows who he is. So does that mean that the Green Arrow is gone? Well, not necessarily when it comes to Diggle, but for Oliver, most certainly. This is unless Oliver actually kind of becomes accepted by Star City and is actually allowed to continue doing what he's doing under the alias. So basically he knows, and everyone else knows who he is, but he still goes around as the Green Arrow, or, you know, like I said, in a kind of like a different costume perhaps. Perhaps he'll go more comic bookies, where he doesn't actually have the hood, he'll actually just have, you know, just his face, and maybe he'll still wear the mask, who knows, but I feel like he might go for a lot more comic book accurate suit in Season 7, and he'll operate in Star City as he does with Team Arrow, but he will be known to the public, of course, as being Oliver Queen. Now, in terms of the rest of Team Arrow, will their identities be exposed? Well, I mean, the FBI know who they are. The public don't at this point, but the FBI do, and I feel like that's kind of how it's going to stay. You know, the FBI will sort of say, look, we'll let you operate, you can continue what you're doing because you are doing a pretty good job and you are being pretty effective in terms of keeping crime rates down, but obviously if you step out of line, we will take you down, and that'll be kind of like a contingency that the FBI will have with Team Arrow to allow them to keep doing what they're doing. So I mentioned earlier that of course Roy Harper is returning next season as a series regular. Will he be on the run with Oliver like is suggested, or will he come back to Star City and rejoin Team Arrow? To be honest, it could go completely either way. Seeing that Oliver has now cleared his name, Roy is no longer a fugitive, he is no longer on the run himself, so that means he could come back to Star City and rejoin Team Arrow because he's not actually on the run anymore, because he is now a free man. Could he take up the mantle of the Green Arrow? Quite possibly, although I feel that'd be a massive kick in the teeth to Diggle if that happened, which would be quite amusing to see. But personally, I don't know what's going on with Roy next season, and I don't know which he's going to go, because if Oliver breaks out of prison, then I imagine Oliver might be completely on his own, because why would Roy want to associate himself with that when he's just had his name cleared? I can't see Roy wanting to do that. You know, no matter all the respect that he has for Oliver, I don't think he'd want to go down that path when he's just gotten out of it. Plus, I don't think Oliver would want to drag Roy back into it either, again, given the fact that he's just cleared his name. So it'd be very difficult to pinpoint where Roy's going to go, but I guess we'll find out very, very soon. Plus, a lot of people are, of course, speculating that Oliver is going to break out of prison, but I can't really see this happening, because although it would be cool, why would Oliver break out of prison when obviously the FBI know who he is? Why would he break out just to become the Green Arrow again, just to be hunted down? Because again, the FBI, they know who he is, and they know who Team Arrow are, so why would they... It doesn't make sense to me as to why Oliver would break out of prison at this point. While it'd be cool, and it still could end up happening, I'm not saying it won't happen, it definitely could happen, I just don't see why in the story it would happen when, you know, the FBI could instantly track him down. I can't see why Oliver would go through that mind process to think, yes, if I break out, that is a good idea. So personally, I can't see that happening, and like I said, there was a lot of speculation that perhaps he'd go on the run with Roy, and I just can't see Roy being dragged back into that life when he's just got out. Personally, I think Diggle will take up the mantle of the Green Arrow, at least for the first few episodes of Season 7, until Oliver comes back to Star City and he can take up the mantle. And after Diggle has sort of been the Green Arrow for a few episodes, we'll see him back in the costume that we're used to, we'll see him with the crossbow that he had, and then we'll see Oliver come back, take back the mantle of the Green Arrow, but he'll come back in a slightly different costume. Maybe it will be the same costume, but he'll just take out the hood, and he'll lose the hood, and it'll just be him with, you know, the goatee, which he's potentially going to get, the slick back hair and everything, and that'll be a really awesome look for Oliver in Season 7. We'll see him rejoin Team Arrow, who are potentially coming back together now, maybe, so we'll see him with Diggle, with Dinah, Renee, Curtis, Felicity, and also with the addition of Roy. It'd be a really awesome way to kind of break him out, to take him out of prison and bring him back into society, and for him to operate in Star City as the Green Arrow, while we actually see him being accepted by the FBI, and I think that'd be a really cool storyline. So tell me what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. Do you think Diggle will take up the Green Arrow for a certain amount of time, or do you think he'll literally be there for a couple episodes until Oliver comes back, and then we'll see him take up the Green Arrow again in a kind of different sort of way? Tell me all your thoughts about this in the comment section down below. And just quickly before we jump into the video, if you enjoy my content and you want to see more, make sure you check out my podcast, Honor Thy Podcast, which is the weekly DC TV Arrowverse podcast I do. Link will be in the description below. So thank you guys for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, it will help me out a lot, and share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV and get them to join the community. And as always guys, please subscribe for all of your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and Black Lightning. And with all that said guys, I hope to see you again in my next video.